Morning, ladies and gents. It is, let's just see now, it's Wednesday, 10:30 in the morning, 23rd of September. So I'm having a look at gold, and very quickly, let me kind of explain the bigger picture here to give you some background, which is in separate analyses, but I'm going to show you here. So basically, the idea is this. On the monthly, gold has been trending beautifully. It's just overextended. So the idea here is that it's going to do a potentially minimum retracement back down to maybe a previous level of resistance, which could be support now, back down to a nice round number, 1800. And I think that's a minimum. That's also fib level. So it's a minimum retracement. It has the potential. Maybe it could come all the way down to the next level, down towards 1600. And that would be like a closer to a 50% retracement. That would be quite aggressive. So it's possible. But what I'm banking on right now for the first trading opportunity is a trade move down to 1800. So going down to the daily has produced these sort of lower highs running into a level of support, which let's call it 1907, somewhere around that level. And of course, 1900 being the big round number. Today, it's broken through. It's solidly kind of broken through. It's peaked through the last couple of days. Today, it's kind of starting to fall below that. And so what I'm looking for is an entry on the lower time frames to then ideally take this all the way down to 1800. So if I go down to the 4 hours, what I'm looking for is for price to come back and retest that level of support as resistance and then turn around and hit lower. So there's nothing on the 4 hourly, so I'm going down to the 1 hour. So on the 1 hour, excuse me, there is now a retracement in place. Now, to be fair, and this is a very, very valid potential thing that can happen, what I would really like the market to do is to come up and test 1900. Now I see that it might come in and turn, excuse me, ahead of that. So it might turn at 1895. And actually, to be fair, it could turn where it is now. It could literally turn at the moving averages, produce a bearish candle, not even touch 1895, and then turn around and head lower. So that is a possibility. But the first idea that I have, the first trade idea, is the direction is set. The rationale, the logic behind the trade idea is set. The entry is really the question. So ideally, it'll come up. It'll be a limit trade, meaning it'll tap me in as a sell, even though its price is heading up, turn around and then head down. So limit orders are great if your expectation is the price is going to hit that limit, turn around and head the other way. So it's a sell limit order. And I'm putting my stop up behind the most recent swing highs. I could put it further up. Those are valid stop losses. This is slightly more aggressive and therefore slightly higher risk. Price could come up, tap me out, but not break the previous highs, turn around and hit lower. But I think that it's unlikely. I don't think it's impossible. I just think it's unlikely. So what I'm looking for is for price to retest that level of support, tap it, test it as resistance, turn around and head down. At that point, I will take profit off the table at 1-to-1. I will take profit at 2-to-1 and 3-to-1. But actually, my end goal, don't forget, is the daily, which is 1800. So just to be safe, I've put a final target at 1810, because just in case price doesn't reach 1800. So in other words, what I'm doing here is, erring on the side of caution, kind of planning for the worst, hoping for the best kind of scenario, which is perfectly acceptable. Anyway, so I'm showing you this because this is basically the trade idea. Basically the idea, the direction is there. I've shown you what could go wrong. Price could come through, it could hit my stop. It could also produce a bearish candle and turn before my limit entry, in which case I'm prepared for that. If that's going to happen, I'm going to watch for that as well. So I'm going to pause the recording. We'll come back to this, but this is honestly something that could take a couple of days to unfold, and so we'll see how that goes. I may produce it in parts and then upload the first half and then upload the second half. So certainly I might consider uploading it once it hits my 3-to-1 or 1-to-1, and then upload the final one when it hits the final target. So there we go. Okay, so I've just been triggered in. And that looks pretty good. I'm very, very happy with the way this has unfolded so far. So I'm triggered in 1895. And let's see how it goes, because I need to now see in this area, this is my expectation. Price might even come up and touch 1900. So if I wanted to scale in, if I've got 0.5% in on my first entry, second percent entry, I could, or second 0.5% entry, I could put it in at 1900. There's various different places, but where I am now is my expectation in this area that's highlighted in blue. This is really the idea, the trading idea in a nutshell, is looking for price to turn in this area. You can see there's a level of support, but it's not crisp. It's been kind of breached here. So basically this is why I've included this area plus 1900. So this area makes sense. This is what I'm looking for to see what happens with price. Now, there may also be a potential re-entry on this. If I get a nice, beautiful rejection candle that forms in the next hour or so, I may actually then scale in. So I've only gone in for 0.5% anyway, so I have the ability to add to that if I want. That's always part of my more advanced approach to stuff. But yeah, so that's the idea. Then I'll be taking profit at 1-to-1, 2-to-1, and 3-to-1. Of course, if I take in a second entry, the 1-to-1 target may shift entirely, at least on that second trade. So we're in on the trade. Let's see how it unfolds. Okay, so I've added to my position. It's a prime little thing. This is on 30 minutes, a nice little bearish candle here. I took an entry below the low with my stop loss above the high, which is also just above that. So that's an additional percent. But here's what's really cool about it, is that I'm almost at my 1-to-1 target on that already. But here's where it gets really cool, is that becomes, I don't actually even know what that is. I'll need to do the maths on it, but that would become a huge multiple. If that continues down and that stays within that, and I can continue to trail it, that could end up being a 10-to-1 trade, something like that. So we'll have a look. It's early days, so we've got to see, but prices come back very well behaved at this time. So trades obviously don't always unfold exactly as per your plan, but so far, touch wood, there we go. So I'm close to hitting my first target on that. That's looking pretty cool. So I'm going to pause again and let's see how this unfolds. Right, so an update. Okay, so the trade on the 1 hour, on the retest of the 1895 level, triggered in literally by 0.07th of a pip, and has now hit its 2-to-1 target. I also took a re-entry on that 30 minutes, which has now gone on to hit 5-to-1. So that's pretty cool. I haven't done the full calculation yet as to what it's going to be when I get down towards 1810, which is my final target. The good news, I guess, is I can now obviously move my stop losses, which are up above that high, back up behind. So this stop loss now will then be updated now to behind or above the most recent swing high. And that's it. That's really the update that there is so far. So this has been nice. It's been a very profitable so far. There's no downside. There's been a fair amount of decent profit on this. I do expect price to continue and retrace and continue down. But yeah, we're not that far away from the target. If we had a really big drop between today and tomorrow, that might be the case. And so far, this is just turning out to be. And today, actually, as it turns out, after the live analysis I did, there's lots of other opportunities in the market today. But gold so far is turning out to be the nicest one that I've seen. So cool. I'll keep you updated.